Cool. So today we are making the book jackets. We have done this a long time ago, but I want to revisit this because there are other things in book art that I want to make. One reason is that books are really, they're all around us, but we tend to not enjoy them as much as they can be. In the past, books and book art itself was really big because obviously there wasn't anything else that was distracting people. So, not just like Alka and I were talking about, it's not just about reading books and having beautiful words in books, but also writing books, writing essays, writing letters. And when you're writing so much and creating something yourself, then you also engage in creating the book for it in a certain manner. So there was a lot of hand binding, different kinds of binding, and you'll see this in a lot of cultures. So the Japanese have their own style of making their own books, so do the Europeans. So today, what I want you to do, or at least this whole month, is to look at books in a different manner. What we see is something like this. We see a regular book which is bound, there's a story, there's a cover, that's it. But how can you put together something that can mimic what a book is? Now, if we were to break this apart, this is a story in a number of words, and all those words have been put in an order on paper, which has then been stitched together on one side with a cover, and then you read this over a period of time. So, all these are different factors that you have in books. There are words, you have to spend some time on it, there is some binding, so on and so forth. But if you break that up and you say, okay, I don't want time as a factor, what do I do? I don't want words, what do I do? That is when you can start thinking creatively and start making your own books. So that's how we're going to go about it. Now, for today, we are looking at the cover. This is one element of a book that we can have fun with. We are going to create a book jacket. A book jacket is something that you put on top of a book, often hardbound books, to keep them protected from dust. They're sometimes also called dust covers. And very often you would have the same design that you have on the cover on the jacket, but there are times when the hard cover doesn't have any design at all and only the book jacket has a picture. That's because the hard cover is often made with a substance that cannot be printed on, and you would still want to know what the book is all about, so you would then print only these sheets of paper and fold them on top of a book. I'm sure you must have come across many of these. But now what happens is that when you have a paperback like that, you will often see that the corners get damaged. The paper is going to turn yellow. We can't really do much about it. But you don't want things to fold and get dusty. So I like to create my own book jackets, which is even if the paper turns yellow, the covers always look nice and new. So all you need to do is keep them dust free. And then, since I'm making my own cover, I decide that I'm going to paint whatever I want on the cover. This cover is not bad, but I can do something that I like and something that I can make. So that gives me an opportunity to then create all sorts of interesting projects for myself. Then I have some books like these, where again the original cover was quite chaotic. It's nice, but it's a little chaotic. And I wanted to make something else for myself. Then I made the front, I made the back, and I also decided to create a little bit of a barcode design here. So one advantage of making your own covers is, apart from, of course, the name of the book and the author, the back is free for you to put whatever you want to put there. So say you've read this book and you have some thoughts about the book. You can put in the blurb for yourself. You can write why it should be read, what were your favorite parts. If you liked it, yes. And if you didn't like it, you can also write that. You have complete freedom to write whatever you want. You don't have to flatter the book at all. So that gives you the opportunity to also make it personal, because it is going to be in your library. And if you're going to lend it to somebody, then they know what to watch for, they know what your taste is like, and then they can match for themselves. If you're going to gift a book to someone, you can create this kind of book cover, which, if it is a book that a lot of people in your family have read, you could get quotes from all of them. Say, if you've got a young person in your family that you want to gift to, and this is a book that the grandparents have read, the parents have read, the uncles and aunts have read, all of them can have a little bit of input, which you can put in the back of the book and gift it to this young person. So then for them, it becomes like a rich treasure that they get from the family. It's almost like an heirloom. So making illustrations can be, you can make any kind of illustrations that you would like. So you can make something like this, you can make something like this, you can make something as generic as just this also, which is basically just drawing some lines and putting some colors and making it pleasant. You can focus on just the text. You can make it something more specific, like picking out an element from the book, making that the focus, and then making the illustration. Here I've also changed the paper. And sometimes when you're desperate, you can just put blobs of color and paint the title, and that's all. So today we're going to do something like this because it's going to be a quick class, and we're going to do as much as we can in 90 minutes. But this is not to say that you can't take up to 3 days if you want to make a very elaborate book cover. If you have the time, use it well. So what we need for this is a couple of drawing paper, drawing sheets in A4 size. That's why I had asked for everyone to keep, um, select a book that's no longer than 8 inches, no taller than 8 inches. So I'm going to create my cover in such a way that it fits the book. Now, if I use one A4 sheet, it's not going to be sufficient. It's going to just barely cover the book. So I'm going to use 2 sheets, which we are going to paste. And we'll paste it first, and then I'll move on to the rest of the illustration part so that the pasting can dry. And then we can paint over it. So we'll need some Fevicol, scissors, or a cutter, because then I don't want to use all the paper. We can just cut up a certain amount. So very thin paper. All books come in different sizes. Like a novel has a particular size, kids' books have certain sizes, textbooks have a certain size. This is the smallest size in a novel or a novella. It's 4.5 inches by about 7 inches. Normally, a book would be 5 inches by 8 inches, something like this. So if I really push it, an A4 size paper can cover this, but you'll see how little the flap would be. So I'm going to attach a separate sheet of paper. This part will go in the back of the book. The overlap over here will be no more than about an inch. That's usually sufficient. Make sure that you apply this with straight edges, top and bottom. Press it and keep it aside to dry. A few drops of Fevicol usually suffices. While the paper dries, we will look at how we are going to design the cover. Effectively, we are designing the cover of the book. So we need to, like any design, first identify the stuff, the text that we have to put on the cover. We have the name of the book and we have the name of the author, and we are going to create some image. So before you start drawing anything, it always helps to create a few rough sketches. So let's first write the name of the book. Now, whenever you're even making these rough sketches, I advise you to try and draw something different. Don't make it like, don't just scribble it. Even your test pages can look very beautiful. So you can write something like this. Even if you are writing it in simple letters, make them bigger. Focus on making the letters look uniform in height and very clear. Then if you enjoy making things like these, you can practice making creative letters even in your rough work. This helps you to see how much space is used by the text, and also actually it helps with going over spellings. When we write slowly, we tend to make a lot of mistakes. Now, the other thing that I also do when I write the text is check alignment. Alignment is on which side all the letters are in the same line. In this case, my alignment is a left leaning alignment. So all my words are starting from one imaginary left margin. With this alignment, I'm not really bothered about how far my words go in each line. But I'm going to try something different here. Essentially, a book cover has to look enticing. The letters are not just to tell you what the name of the book is, but to also communicate something about the book that will make you want to pick it up. Something maybe from the story or the person who the story is about, but in a very cryptic manner. And personally, I absolutely love letters. So I will look at every opportunity to make the letters the hero of the design. So as you can see, my letters are not perfect, but the line is very strong. Having a strong line is more important than making the letters look absolutely perfect. Now comes the name of the author. So, what can we do for the name of the author? We can maybe write the name really long. So first I'm going to write the last name, really long letters. And then stick can be the same height, but I'm going to write it center aligned, which means that I need to write Stig right on top of Larson in such a way that there's the same amount of space left on both sides, on the left and the right. And that's easily done now because I just need to accommodate 5 letters on top of Larson. So I'm going to count the center 5 letters. Luckily, in the center 5, we have these letters only A, R, S, S, O, N, Arson, not N, sorry. And right above them, if I start writing the letters, I should be able to center align them. So these are quick tricks that you learn to do with illustration. Now, in itself, if you do it well, this itself will start looking like a potential um, text option. Now, those of you who have this book, you can look at all sorts of options like these. So maybe a serif option from here can also be chosen. If you have the time, you can make more decorative letters as well. Something like this can also be made. But each of these letters starts giving some kind of a feel for the book. So if I were to write letters like these, maybe this might look like a very old-timey book. If I make letters like these, this might look like a more contemporary book. If I make something like this might look like a very comical book. Definitely not a serious book like the book is meant to be. So choose the font or the lettering type that speaks a little bit in the same mood as the book. This or even these are all fun little things. Alright, so now this is the text. You can visualize the text on top of this. And what if you want to put a little graphic? So we already have a graphic over here that can be incorporated into the book. Have you guys finished making your letters? Would you like me to see them? And if you want me to wait, let me know, then I can wait till you finish your letters. Okay, one thing you can try if you are struggling with writing the letters, try making baselines. So this is these guidelines will help you to at least place the letters on a particular line and make it of a particular height. If you are going to make the letters big and small, so say if I want to write dragon tattoo in a big and small letter format, then I can put an ascender line and maybe even a descender line. There won't be a descender here. So I could write something like this. I'm just writing it in this form so that I can create some variation. Remember that these are going to look handmade, these covers. So don't try to make them look too refined because that looks really odd. And maybe for tattoo, I could do, yeah, even that could be nice. Now I'm deliberately going to change the heights of some of the letters. And I want you to see how fun that can look as well. So this way I accommodate the T right underneath the G and it does not have to clash. And if I make this a little upper niche also, it still looks interesting. In fact, all that rick-rack makes it look like there is something very strange happening, which is the crux of the book. Alright? Okay, Azad, how are you doing?
Miss, I'm just trying a different font.
Okay, have you written the title of your book at least once? The whole title?
No, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, so just finish it in whatever form you can right now. Remember, if this is your first project, it's going to just give you an idea. It's going to be a rough project. The first five of these book covers are going to be like rough. So just let go. Don't try to look for the design to be too perfect. But we need to move a little faster so I can show you the other stuff that we have to do. Is that
All right.
okay?
Yeah.
Great. How about everyone else? How are your designs looking? Let's see, Ritika's. Oh, very cute. Nice. Simple. Let's see, Alka's. Wow, wow, wow. Very good. The Jane Austen that you've written, Nietzsche, write it in one line if you're going to make those capitals, or actually shift it a little bit. So, let me show you how. Writing Jane Austen one on top of the other is going to create an imbalance, because you've got a capital which has a descender. And then you're going to put an A right here. So you're under no obligation to write the A right below J. You can align these any way you want to, and you could probably do something like this. And then take this and create a flourish. So it becomes one unit. And don't clash the two, but you could use the two to create one letter. Now, we could also try something like this. So your Austen can be written as,
Oh, nice.
and again, your baseline can shift a little bit for this letter.
Hmm.
Okay, so look at
Yeah,
even that element as a decorative element. The letters are not just mere letters.
yeah.
All right, now let's go to our jacket, book jacket. Now you must realize that when we make the book jacket, the cover, the front cover should be the one which does not have the joint. Okay, and we want to make a flap which is about 2 inches long. So it must go beyond the book about 1.5 inches minimum to about 2 inches. Not, you don't need more than that. So my book jacket is going to just need this much extra paper. So the remaining I'm going to tear off. So how we do this is hold the book inside the book jacket, and wherever you get the edges, you pinch the edge a little bit. So you get a crease. You get a crease on top and a crease at the bottom of the book. So I'm holding this in the air, and I can also take my regular pencil and press against the spine, because I need to see these lines. These are going to tell me where the spine is. And then I can press on the spine, making sure these edges are matching and it's not teda like that. So this is the top. A little lower I have this crease to show me where the bottom, the other edge of the spine is. Any one indication is also fine, and then I have to just match the edges, the rest of the cover, and I should be good. So this is our book jacket, and it has so much space extra. Over here I've accounted for the same amount of space extra, and I'll just cut this up a little my trusty cutter and reserve this paper to use for maybe the next book, which also needs the same. If you don't have a cutter, you can also use a scissor and cut this up. Scissors are safer. Don't worry about getting a wobbly edge over here because this is going to be folded inside, so it won't really matter. Once you've done this, keep the book folded and then lift the cover and fold this in. Here too, you can do the same trick. Pinch the paper. You don't have to fold the whole thing over. Pinch the paper on the top, turn the book around fully, pinch the paper in the back. My joint has come very close to the edge, but now can't help it. And then remove the book and then press this down. You can use the back of a spoon or a bone folder to press this paper down. Just don't bruise it when you're doing that. Now my book is also shorter, so I need to cut off about an inch from the top. I'm just quickly going to cut it on my board and come back. I'm going to leave it a little bigger. So maybe, see, I have a little bit extra space here, and I'm going to leave a little extra space from here. So not cut it edge to edge. Okay, so since I am doing this, I'll show you how it has to be done as well, or how I do it. So in this case, I made the marker on the inside, but I'm going to fold the paper and then cut, align the paper to my cutting board so that I can ensure I get straight lines, and cut along this line. So I have to manipulate the paper and keep it in such a way that I get a line running through the pencil mark that I have made to cut the paper. Sometimes this aligns to a line or to a dot or some space in between, but I check on the perpendicular edge to make sure that it is straight. The amount of geometry we use in art is not funny. If only they taught geometry like art, I'm sure I would have learned with a lot more interest. I don't know if I would have become a professional geometrician, but it definitely would have been more enjoyable. Okay, so there we go, testing. Now my book cover is the perfect size. So it's good to finish all this cutting and pasting before you start illustrating, because then you know exactly how much space you have. All design is related to how much space you have, how much you have to use, and how you can distribute all the information properly onto this given paper. Now, if you're working with white paper, it can tend to look rather boring. So we have to make that white paper itself also interesting. So we can create a wash, or you can create a very interesting design that can run from the front to back. A few things to remember when you are doing book design. Unlike regular stuff that we would do with text, this is not the front of the book, this is the front of the book, right? I have myself done this mistake several times. I have started designing a book in my past, of course, when I used to do graphic design, made a beautiful cover on this part, and then when I put the cover onto my book dummy, I would be perplexed. What the hell? Why is the design over here? So remember that the book is always, the cover or the jacket is always designed in reverse. The front is on the right and the back is on the left. And everywhere else, you would first start on the left and then go to the right. That is how things look a little different here. Alright, now in my case, I have this beautiful dragon design which I can recreate over here. Do you have anything like this in your book that you can recreate? Okay, so there are various ways in which you can incorporate the design into the text. In my case, I want to make the dragon in the backdrop and put the letters on top. So the letters can be written in negative and then the dragon is seen, or the dragon is seen very lightly and then the letters are darker. The second part is what I'm going to do. Another way of doing it is draw the dragon first and then put the letters in the spaces where the dragon is not there. So the dragon can be running through the design as well. I love doing that, but it just takes a lot of time. So I don't want to put in more than 5 minutes of work. And I want you to see how that is also a very viable design option. So usually I would spend a lot of time in designing my own dragon, but today I'm just going by the design over here. Remember, a project like this is not necessarily a should not necessarily be a time consuming project. Within an hour you should be able to finish one cover of a book. So if you have ready stuff on your books, use that, because you will never be able to make it identical any case. And in the process of trying to make this, whatever you make will be your own style. You can add more, I suppose, some variation here or there and make it more like uh, specific to your taste. So I'm making a quick sketch over here, and I'm going to paint this in watercolor. First I will make maybe um, a red color backdrop, or should I make it black? I'm thinking. So maybe an ochre to go with the skin, and then a slightly deep color for the dragon, and on top of that I can write the title in a black or a red or both. Okay, so that is my plan. So I am recreating this dragon and I want it to look like a tattoo, so I'm going to choose the skin tone as the tone underneath this. Now the style of illustration can also vary. Sometimes you can have a uh, very simplistic illustration. So without going too much into designing a book cover, all I can say is when you are making your own book cover, look for some style of illustration that you enjoy. It does not have to be um, precisely what you would do if you were a book designer. Let's not confuse that. There are many rules that are followed by book designers. But what you need to do is to make a design that will look good on your shelf and do what it's meant to do. It will tell you the name of the book and who the author is, and cover the book so that it is protected from dust. Basically, that's its job. That's it. Nothing more. When a commercial designer has to make this cover, they look at lots of options. They do a lot of market studies. We'll try and figure out what is the best design that is, like, what is the tattoo design that people are willing to make um, in real life, and then they would probably use that for the cover. Okay, now I'm going to, actually, I'm not even going to erase this. I'm going to leave the tattoo, the pencil lines, not the tattoo lines, the pencil lines like this, and start painting right on top of this. Okay, so you guys can start the same. I want to demonstrate that even if your book is a little sketchy looking, like this one, it's not really perfect, but it is confident, and it looks like this was deliberately the design that was made for it, right? That is how I want this to be made. If you let go of perfection, you can actually do a lot of things. I had to learn that the hard way. I have like 10,000 projects that are half finished because I wanted perfection, and I just wouldn't move forward. That something like this, it looks so much fun once it's completed that you feel that this was perfect in itself. Okay, I'm gonna go get some water and start painting this. Now, because I don't want to put color on the back, on the whole um, jacket, but I still want it to look like a backdrop, I'm going to do a kind of jigard. So I'm creating a skin tone using yellow ochre and gamboge. So a warm yellow and yellow ochre together, but it's going to be, and maybe a little bit of orange as well will look nice. So I'm making a puddle like this. Sorry. And I'm not going to make a wash through and through. I'm going to create uh, like a blob of skin. That's how it's going to look. So it's going to have a rough edge. One reason for that is my paper is very thin. It will definitely warp. And at this point, if I feel like it, I could also do a little bit of splatter and let this dry. This could imitate freckles perhaps. And avoid painting over and over again. Don't bother correcting too much. Okay, this is drying up a little bit. Now, usually when I'm painting this, I will first do a test. Now that we have made this text, I can use the same colors as the um, the skin tone that I've used on the paper and paint behind or on top of the text that I have written, or I can make a separate design. Point being that if you're unsure of what you're doing on the paper, on your final paper, always test things out. So I can also test out, say, a dragon shape in this color, like this, and then check after this dries if this color can work well with a crimson. I really want to make the word dragon in crimson. So whether the color crimson works with this color combination, and with crimson, what else can I use? So all these considerations you can do in rough and figure out what you'd like to do. It's always better to see what you have in your mind on paper before you do it on paper. Very often, people will make this lovely illustration, spend a lot of time on the design, and land up using colors that don't really go well with each other. And then the whole thing does not look as good as they imagine. I know this for a fact because I have done exactly this. And then I realized that what I was not doing was testing out my colors. One is, it never occurred to me at all till I started working in graphic design and making illustrations professionally. And I thought, why do I never do this um, as a student, or not even a student, in my informal work? So I realized that, of course, we are usually impatient with all these kind of casual projects. You think, oh, fatafat, let me do this, and it's going to turn out brilliantly, and then it doesn't, and then you say, okay, why does it happen this way? The reason is that we don't want to spend time in the rough work. But it does not have to be too elaborate. You can make it very simply. Just put a few strokes here and there to see how those colors interact with each other, and that should do. Colors are also one thing that you will have to develop a relationship with over time. They're not as simple as we would like them to be. You can't say that each red is exactly that, and their interaction with a blue is going to be exactly the same, because there are as many blues and each of them have their own personality. So they behave a certain way when in the company of other colors. So you need to be spending enough time with them, doing enough projects, so that you know how each of them behaves in a particular setting, in the company of each other, in the company of specific colors. so that when you imagine something in a particular color, you know exactly what you're going to get. Right, so I'm now going to try to paint the G in scarlet, and I think it will work. It won't be very, it's looking much brighter in person than online. So this is definitely going to work. And here's the red on the skin color, which it would come in a few places. So this book design is a little bit like how we did the native arts thing. You never know what subject you're going to have to draw. It all depends on whatever book you choose. So literally you can choose a children's book, and then you have those cartoon characters that you can draw. You could choose a serious business book which has no pictures, where you will have to rely on your own imagination to probably look for something that might indicate what the title of the book is trying to say. Or you just throw caution to the wind and paint whatever you want and then put the title in there, and whoever wants to make any sense of it, they may, or forget it. Now, for example, this book, The Future of Packaging, we made this in the class yesterday, the US class. And one of the books that was selected, one of the students had selected, was about a whale. So hers was the only non-fiction storybook, and the other three students had chosen something that was like a marketing book or non-fiction like this. And did I say non-fiction book? The whale was fiction, sorry. So I said, okay, let's, the non-fiction people, it really doesn't matter. Let's test this out. Let's draw the design for the whale book, and we will make the same book but change the title, and let's see if this design still speaks of the title.
Can you open?
So it turns out that our brain is, I think, designed to try to make sense of anything that comes in front of us. So with this, if I just show you this, the future of packaging, first it just looks like a clean design, but for some it might look like, are these waves? Is this book going to be about um, plastic in the ocean or something like that? They'll try to make that kind of connection. Is it going to be about green packaging? So would that be what they're talking about? Is the future bright or is it blue? There is a little bit of engagement even if you don't make any pictures on the book at all. Then the one that I really enjoyed making was this rickshaw, because I just enjoy drawing rickshaws. And this graphic came from a quote somewhere in the middle of the book. I literally randomly opened the book at some point, and it said that the Indian economy is can be easily seen like a rickshaw. It is not the highest quality of I guess a car or a vehicle, but it does a fantastic job. It's extremely versatile, it is cheap and everything. So everything about the Indian business was likened to a rickshaw. And I thought, okay, this is great. Let me just put that. And this graphic and this text made so much sense. This is very Indian, and the whole book is about being Indian. So this what was tied in together, and I made this very nice backdrop to make it more fun. And then in the back I also put the face of this bull, which also is like a very Indian uh, symbol. Somewhere I'm also tying the bull. Now, I didn't do it consciously, but there is something in business where a bull is better, or there's something about markets which are bullish, which are better and aggressive, whatever it is. I don't know that, but I felt the bull was quite interesting. So here the book cover was more specific to the topic. Then, of course, I enjoy painting flowers. So, for this Jeeves and the King of Clubs, I decided I'm just going to do whatever I enjoy, and this turned out pretty good as well. So, now fortunately, my paper is so wet, I don't know what to do with it, save for ironing it or something like that. Anyway, I'm just going to forge ahead. So here I'm writing the name of the book. I want to write the word tattoo over here, dragon, dragon tattoo over here at the belly, and the girl with will come on top of this. Now let's see, I don't know how dark the dragon will be visible. But now I want to center aligning and I align it. And to center align, I will draw a line very lightly so that I know where my letters are going to sit, and draw a line in the center. I have 6 letters in my word, so DRA will come on the left and GON will come on the right. We can, of course, write the letters in pencil, and I often do this. I write from the center, DRA, A and G I will write first. See how much space is between A and G, and then repeat that same space on both sides to write the ON on the right, R and A on the left. And write it so light that you do not feel the need to erase this. And I'm using a micron pen now to make the letters. I will be painting the letters afterwards. And despite the pencil lines, you have to keep checking that the height of the letters and the distances are close to uniform to make the cover look really good. Now, whenever you're writing text, one tip I would like to give you is to keep your design in front of you straight. Normally, we will keep the book at an angle when we are writing. But when you're writing text which is decorative, look at the text at 90 degrees. Keep it straight. It is very possible that your hand feels uncomfortable, it comes too close to you, or whatever happens, but you will see your letters better and you will keep checking whether they are sitting straight on a line or not. Okay, I'm going to write the word girl right here. Now, this time I am absolutely winging it. I'm not checking, I've not put the baseline, but I keep checking to see that my word sits exactly in the center of dragon. I enjoy challenging myself to do this. So once in a while, I will um, I hate to say drive without the seat belt, in which case the seat belt is the line at the bottom, but always drive with the seat belt. But once in a while, don't draw a baseline and see how well you can gauge. All right. So let's paint the word dragon in red. I would have waited till this paper was completely dry, but since we're running short on time, I'm speeding ahead. But I have definitely checked that the paint has dried fully. The paper has warped because it is just about 100 GSM. This is not my usual 130 GSM. So but this is perfect to use as a book jacket because it folds really well. So the paper is not going back to its normal flatness in as fast as a 130 GSM would do that. And the word girl and tattoo, I am thinking I'll write in black. I can do a test over here to see if the colors work. Given time, I would definitely do that. And when I'm not doing it, I'm relying on my vast experience from graphic design, having used these colors frequently in the past to know how they will reflect. So um, that's why that I can confidently, at least with some measure of confidence, paint something without testing it out. But believe me, once you test it out, it is so much simpler in your mind. You will do it with much more ease. So it always helps to write the main words first and then write the articles and prepositions afterwards, because they're usually small words that can be fit in to any alignment based on how the big words are kept. So, book design, in a sense, is like the best part of graphic design, I would say, because it requires pictures, it requires words, and it also creates this sense of mystery. You want to open the book and see what it's all about. So, I feel often that the skill of book design is often not given its due. I am going to paint the rest of the letters with a thin brush this time, directly, without even bothering to write it in pencil, because these wobbly lines, what is it? With the made with a brush, can look really charming. There we go, very subtle design. The dragon is in the back, I can see the name. And because now the red is pretty prominent, I'm going to write the name of the author in red. At the bottom, Stieg Larsson. Here I will use the pencil so that I can spread his name across the bottom here. Should it be here? Maybe here. Oh, it should not touch the tail, I feel. Yeah, okay. So I'm putting it over here, halfway through the last curl of the tail. Again, divided in half. Stieg Larsson, the words are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, space in between 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I will divide this space into half, then half of half, that makes it 4, 8, 16. and then get rid of 2 lines in the left, 2 lines in the right. This should give me STIE 3 space LARSSON. So I'm writing on the line. Don't worry, this I will explain this if you find it complicated, but maybe in another lettering class. If you want to start becoming proficient in being able to write these letters directly in brush, you should try just practicing writing letters in brush. You can write pages and pages and pages of that. And 2 minutes shy of finishing class, I am going to finish the cover. This is how it looks. I haven't erased any of the lines so that you can see how I have placed them. I think my Stiglassen is a little crooked, but it won't matter. And I think the reason is because I kept the book like this. There we go. One more book done. Now the other thing is to write the same thing on the spine. When writing on the spine, please look at the book itself and see what is the orientation of the design. Sometimes intuitively, I have written it like this, like you have the front here, and then the bottom is where the text begins from, but often the top is where the text begins from, so it goes this way. And once you're done with the front, you can write whatever you need on the spine and write the name of the author, and you're done.